from StoryADay. It's a beautiful day here in Pennsylvania and I'm sitting out on my front step grinning like an idiot because I've just been juggling. I haven't juggled for years and I never was very good with clubs, but I've had a set for about 26 years, and so I decided I was going to use some of my time sitting here, you know, taking a break from my desk to get out in the front garden and practice juggling with clubs. And it's so funny because I spent ages out here looking like an idiot in front of the neighbours, and it's so easy to make progress and know when you're making progress with something like juggling, and it's harder to know when you're making progress with writing. So it's really good to take a break and do something like juggle, or do something else that you are a beginner at, whether it's sewing so you can make masks, or whether it is, I don't know, picking up the guitar that you never learned to play, or brushing up on your piano skills. But here's what I learned from going back to the beginner mindset with juggling. I know that you start with one, right? You start with one ball, one club, you throw it from hand to hand until that feels comfortable. That I can do. Then I started throwing two, and I was throwing them from hand to hand. You know, some of them weren't spinning properly and falling on the ground, and then I would just go back to throwing one. And then I would try again. And while I was doing that, one of my neighbours was out playing with his kids, and he came across, he was like, wow, I never knew you could do this, look at you. And like, I know someone who can juggle 5 clubs, juggles with chainsaws, is incredible at this, and I'm standing in my front garden feeling foolish trying to juggle with 2, but I knew it was all I could do. And my neighbour was like, wow, because I was spinning them, you know, I was spinning and catching them, and I was getting the second one. And so then he was like, oh, that's awesome, you know, so I'm juggling away, and I, you know, stopped talking to him, and I went back to my 2, and I was dropping them again, back to passing 1 baton from hand to hand. Then I picked up 2, and then I started trying to pass 2 from one hand to the other. It took me about half an hour to figure out how to even get that first club out of the hand that's now holding 2. So I did that for a while, and once that started to feel easy, passing 1 club, I started to add, you know, I'd pass 1 club and then I'd do the other 2. So there's a little gap in there, but it felt good. When it started to feel easy, I got cocky and I picked up the 3rd club. Disaster. So I didn't go back, and then I went back to trying to do it with 2 in one hand. Still couldn't do it. Oh no, I have to go back to the bit where it really felt easy. So 1 club in each hand, passing, passing. Once that felt easy, I started with the 2 in one hand again, pass, pass. Okay. And only when that felt easy did I move on to picking up the 3rd club again. And I got like 3 matches, which is pretty good for me. So what does all this have to do with writing, you're asking me? We get ambitious and we start to discount the skills that we have already. Maybe we read a story by someone who is brilliant, top of their game, juggling, and we don't see all of the hours they put in, writing sentence after sentence, dud story after dud story, dropping the balls on the floor. And meanwhile, we write a perfectly decent little story, and then we're mean to it because we're only juggling with 2 clubs, and we're only writing a simple short story. When your neighbours walk across and go, that's amazing, you can juggle with 2 clubs, you can write a complete story. Don't discount that. You are where you are. And if you need to take a step back, and maybe you're trying to write a story that's in 3rd person and it's horror and you don't normally write either of those things, congratulate yourself for trying, and then go back to writing the simple 1st person, single perspective romance that you know how to do or that you've enjoyed doing before. Don't be afraid to go back a step, to go back and polish up the basics, to keep writing at the level you're writing at until it feels easy, and then introduce a new thing. So that's what I've been doing with my afternoon. I was writing, I stepped outside to do some juggling, and I got an existential lesson on the importance of not forgetting to be a beginner and to work on the basics, not thinking that any of that time is wasted. I stood out here for, I don't know how long, half an hour? My neighbours could probably tell you. I stood out here for a long time trying to figure out how to throw 2 clubs from one hand. I stood out here passing 1 club from hand to hand. I got up to the point where I had 3 clubs in my hand, but it didn't get very far. I'll come back out tomorrow, and tomorrow morning I'll write a story. And maybe it'll be a simple story tomorrow, because maybe I'll be tired tomorrow. Or maybe it'll be an ambitious story, because maybe I'll be up for that tomorrow. And if it goes wrong, I'll just go back to basics. And I hope you will too. Never give up on your writing. Never give up on practicing. Keep writing. Keep going back to basics. Keep having fun. And don't compare yourself to the people who are juggling 5 chainsaws.